Now let's look at entering some date of death assets and liabilities. We're in the pre-grant section, which is in the top left. You'll see that we've got three areas in which we can record date of death values. One is assets and liabilities, which is the general assets and liabilities, which is going to cover everything: real property, premium bonds, national savings, bank accounts, etc., amounts owed to the deceased, debts owed by the deceased. But then we have two separate sections, one for investments and one for chattels, and the reason that we do that is often investments and chattels have huge amounts of detail and are written off into a separate schedule, so this follows, Brightcel follows that model. Let's start with recording some general assets and liabilities. So here we've got just an input screen. Yellow, this is where we record words, so this will be the description. I'm going to do some real property here. Skyfall. And this is where you'd put the date on which you commissioned a valuation. It's not an important, it's a date purely to help you monitor progress as you go through, and I'm going to leave it blank for now. Let's say that the valuation is in, and for our purposes it's 2 million. Now don't worry about that, that will sort itself out shortly when we come back to the page. But you can see there it is. If you're worried about it, it's saying it's 2 million. If you're familiar with Excel, you'll know that those hashes just mean that there's not enough space to record the value, but when you come back to this page you'll see that is sorted out. Now we've got a couple of options here, orange ones. Installment option, yes, this is real property, so it's installment option. You've also got joint property here that you can click on, whether it's tenants in common or a joint tenancy. Well, in fact this was his own, just in his name, so we'll just have to put, we just put the installment option there. There's another property, just to make it interesting, 8 Wellington Street, London, SW3, and again let's just say that we commissioned the valuation. He died on the 14th, let's say we got on with it, and the value of that is 1,500, and again installment option property, just so that I can show you what I mean. If you're worried about those figures, you can leave that. Let's just go back perhaps to a different page, record key data, and from there we now come back to the record date of death assets and liabilities. You can see that all those hashes have disappeared and we've got the figures that we wanted. We're going to come back to investments, do that separately, but let's carry on this page. I'm going to put in some banks. And the current account balance is 200,563, and we've got no accumulated interest on that one. But if we now have a deposit account that goes with it, and we'll have 1,300,000, and we'll have 1,563 of accrued interest, and we don't have to worry about installment or joint. None of that applies here. Not all of my clients are this wealthy, I have to tell you. So I'm also going to put here, and this is quite an important point, I'm afraid it's a little quirk in the system, but for now this is how you deal with it. Most people, if they've got investment managers, they'll have cash with their investment managers anyway, so you will be recording a cash deposit here. But if you wanted to have a cash deposit account with brokers and there wasn't any cash at the date of death, what I suggest is you put the value, you put it in here even with a 0 date of death value. It then means that you'll be able to use it with the orange drop down menus as I've shown you before. So let's put in here Goldfinger IM capital, and he had £23,746 of uninvested cash. Goldfinger IM income, and he's got £4,582 there. National Savings will put some premium bonds in. Sensible guy. 30,000. Again, there's blue section here. I've just not put the dates in, but that's at this stage the dates are not important. You'll notice at the top of the column it's valuation required or death registered. So that's just to give you a progress, is to keep you giving you something to monitor progress as the matter goes ahead. So what else are we going to put down here? So chattels will come to separately. Debts due to the deceased. Well, he lived in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, and he got a council tax refund. Overpayment 1,750, say, and you can see the various other things you might put in there. And then there were some debts due at the date of death. He had what have I got? Carver, Media. This is his satellite TV package, and now this is a red cell. Notice all the previous ones, green, have put positive numbers in. This is a red cell, we put a negative number in, and this is an amount that's owed, £38.42, pretty good value actually. And then he used a local cobbler. Actually, he probably sent his shoes away to Russia, I think, to have those mended by this lady. And bill, and again minus £49.99 for that. And come on, American Express, his credit card, and he got quite busy with that. Okay, and then down here we've got a section for funeral expenses. Slumber Inc. who've opened a UK branch. And that is not an extravagant funeral, although he did with the catering. Zukovsky. Wouldn't be the same without caviar, would it? Right. So that's how you would record date of death values. Remember, look again, we've got some of these funny hashes and so on. Don't worry about those; those will vanish. Now, what I've got up here is an imbalance indicator. That's showing that at the moment we're out of balance by 1.5 million. That's potentially something to be alarmed about, but sometimes these things go away if you come. Now, I'll show you another of the options on here. This is what I call compile lists. If you click on that, then Brightcel scratches its head and does a bit of writing out of lists and so on, and that will often get rid of an imbalance that's basically catching up with what we've been doing. I'll show you one other thing on the Brightcel menu here. This is show and hide comments. Sometimes if you want to put comments in, but you don't want to have them taking up a lot of screen space, you can put them in, and then you want to get rid of them again or just hide them away. So if you click on show hide comments, you get an extra column here which enables you to write things in, So let's say let's say Russian rubles, but then you want to get rid of that, so you can hide the comments, and then they're gone. And that's the same, you've got comments on most pages where you're putting data in. And that is entering date of death, assets and liabilities.